Well, the weekend's over. Just because I'm wearing a shirt that looks like a tuxedo doesn't mean I ended right there. Nothing too fancy for everyone. But what we get to review, we review GCW in Liverpool. As you know, they made their way to the UK, having some great events over there. And of course, we got to Move's latest event, Phoenix Rises. As you know, we have Emi and Baliyan Akki made their return. I'm so excited for that. But also, we have Miya, who is one of the new trainees, of course, in the match. This is her debut match right now. And of course, we got the Asian Dream Tag Team titles on the line in a very interesting main event with Mei Shiruga versus Yuna Mizumori. And also, we got some news updates to tell what's been going on in the world of pro wrestling. So, let's get ready for another episode of Deleted Wrestle Zone.
Are you ready? Get up, get up! 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 Get up, get up!
Welcome, everybody, to Deleted Wrestle Zone, all things that is pro wrestling with AEW, NXT, New Japan Pro Wrestling, Impact Wrestling, the National Wrestling Alliance, various promotions, wrestlers, matches, and championships. I am your host, Jay right here. So, let's begin with GCW in Liverpool. I was very interesting in this particular event because we have wrestlers from GCW making their way here. And of course, we have wrestlers from the TNT Extreme Wrestling also making their appearance in other locations. So I'm very excited for this. Now, our first match is Jordan Oliver versus Blake Christian. Now, you know this particular match, it's going to be high spots because these two are incredible wrestlers. We know what they can do when they do high spots. That's all. But the one thing I know for a fact that Blake Christian will definitely be keeping an eye out on the Cloud Cutter, since that's the main weapon that mostly Jordan Oliver does. But however, it did not happen that way. He rolled them up in some weird fashion in order to pick up a huge win against them, which was a very amazing. So Jordan Oliver is becoming very, very more growing up more. But however, I don't know how Blake Christian is with it, but we know he probably is happy with it. Now, our next match, we have Millie McKenzie. You guys remember her as Millie McKenzie in NXT UK. It was great to see her. Not only that, she returned back with Pro Wrestling Eve, and she's having a huge match coming up later on with Miyu Yamashita. So she faces off against Alley Catch. Now, this is no like one of those death matches type events with them. Basically, it's just a straight up match. But of course, it was balls to walls. But however, it was the Boosie Power Driver that put Millie McKenzie away, allowing for Alley Catch to win the match. Now, this is very interesting. We had, of course, the Internet Championship. Matt Cardona putting that title on against Mad Kurt, who is also an internet sensation, which people prefer him over Matt Cardona, since Matt is always saying that he is the true pinnacle of what the internet was for him. But I have to say the match was pretty great because it showed that no matter what Matt Cardona tried to prove, saying that wrestlers like Mad Kurt, they're useless, they're not. But however, when it comes, there are moments where, of course, we'll see either Matt Cardona will take a shortcut or take the final shot, which he did with the radio silence. 1, 2, 3, it was over. Now, our next match is a non-title four-way match. We have Jimmy Lloyd versus Clint Majera versus Big Joe versus John Wayne Murdoch. I have to say this match was insane. Basically, a lot of toys being around, like the tube lights, tables, doors, all of that. I thought it was gonna be insane, but it was, of course, a tombstone on a thumbtacks by Big Show that he applied on who was it? On Jimmy Lloyd that allowed him to win. And also it caught the attention of John Wayne Murdoch. So I think he sees this guy. He's not. He maybe looks like a joke, but he is taking things seriously, which is good. Now our next match is for the GCW Extreme title in a four-way. We have Cole Radrick versus Joe Lando versus Leon Slater versus Tony Deppen. Now you know this type of match. This match, it has no deathmatch rules or anything. It's just a straight up match. Anything could happen in these type of matches in four ways. So I was 100% sure that Cole Radrick was going to win when he actually put away Joe Lando, and I thought it was great. Despite that, many fans probably say they would not want Tony Deppen to win because he's a straight up a-hole, but sooner or later he's going to win that title. Next match, we have Nick Wayne taking on Joey Janela. I have to say, what a great match. I think this is one of those matches I can enjoy when it comes to Nick Wayne, because Nick Wayne, he is 17 years old. He's something else, and I think that's something we should be paying attention. But unfortunately, he ended up on the wrong side of the super kick. Once his body was already exhausted, Joey Janela gave him the pinfall. 1, 2, 3. It was over right from there. Now our next match, we have Session Moth Martina taking on Effie. Now, I don't know what Martina was doing. She was trying to get Effie turned on. Now think about it, Effie, he is who he is. But however, he is what he does. But I was like so really insane. I don't know. Not to mention Martina is actually, you know, always boozed up. But it was, of course, the Zack Ryder by Effie that sealed the deal. And of course, he and Martina looks like they became good friends, and I think that's a good thing. Now our next match is a death match. We have the Blood Fighter, Alex Colon, versus Drew Parker, who made his return. As you know, Drew Parker, guys, he has two homes, one in London, the other in Tokyo, Japan. So as you know, he's mostly been wrestling in Big Japan Pro Wrestling, and he is, I think, one of the top champions there. I'm not 100% sure, but the title was not on the line, so I thought it was crazy and nuts. But I was impressed with the finisher with Drew Parker. What he applied was a knee strike on the face of Alex Colon with tubes on it, and that kind of sealed the deal for him to win. I was like, dang, that was insane. So he picked up a good win. So, well, I think I have to say this was a pretty good show, even in London. Can't wait to see how things are going to go with them in Japan when it comes up later on by the end of this month and early October. So I think that's pretty much it now. So I think it's time to move on to Got to Move. Okay, Got to Move Pro Wrestling, Phoenix Rises. I have to say it was an incredible show. I enjoy. Now, keep in mind, Got to Move and Choco Pro, they worked in the same. Uh, they have the same brand, but however, Got to Move is a separate thing, and I think it's fun to see this. However, this particular event, we saw the return of Baliyan Akki, who's been gone for 2 months. It's great to see him. And as for Emi Soccer, as you know, she's been living in the U.S. recently, doing her thing. She came back because she decided to put herself in a very interesting matchup. But let's get started with the matchup. We opened up with a three-way tag team match. First team, we have Sayuri teaming up with Toru Washu, taking on Sawadari Kamen and Sayaka Obihiro versus Tokiko Kirihara and Antonio Hana, also known as Black Kuminachi. Now, as you know, Black Kuminachi is the one group everybody has to be more worried about, because these two individuals, they have these tendency, they use certain tricks in their arsenal in order to win their match. That's always been their MO. But, however, it was Sayaka who made the surprising pin on Tokiko to pick up the win. And I think she was like a bit surprised that she actually pulled it off. Now, I cannot recall if she ever won a big match in these type of shows, but we'll see what happens then. Now, our next match is the debut of Miya, of training Miya. As you know, she's been training in the in the dojo recently. Um, in the one of much recent events with Choco Pro before, I think it was 254. Emi Sakura mentioned that she was planning to come back because she wanted to be in a match against her to be her debut match, which is a good thing because it could help her build character. Now, keep in mind, Miya knows that she's going to be facing against the Queen, who is the founder of Got Move, and that's something she has to put her A game. Now, what did I think about her gear? Well, it's not too fancy, but looks a bit more basic. You know, something similar that Sayaka, the other Sayaka, just plain old Sayaka, used to wear. But sooner or later, I'm sure she'll change her gear. You know, same way she did with Sayaka. But but I have to say, this particular match was more kind of in the favor of Mei Sakura. You know, she was dominant on the whole thing until she finished her off with a somewhat of a trying to do a underhook backbreaker, and I thought it was interesting, and it was done just like that. Now our next match, I have to say this is a very interesting trios match. We have Coyote Yonayama, Kid Lycos, Minoru Fujita taking on Riho, Saki, and Baliyan Akki. Now, I know Baliyan Akki and Saki, they were tag teams before in their early years. Is that from my understanding from Baliyan Akki? Did Saki was her first tag team partner before Mei Shiruga. However, I think this is the first time they ever team up with Riho, and I think this is something special for them because if you guys follow history of Got Move, Riho was the ace of Got Move, and I think that kind of set up. But I think they did a pretty good job. But the one thing that was more interesting is they had to watch out for Coyote Yonayama because Coyote, on the other hand, she is a high-speed wrestler. She can put anybody away until it's over. But the one thing that she couldn't stop is being a fangirl when it comes to Riho because Rio is, you know, amazing wrestler. You got to keep that in mind. But it was, of course, Coyote Yonayama with the O'Connor roll that finished off Baliyan Akki, and Baliyan Akki couldn't even believe that that happened. But like I said, Coyote's the one person who is more experienced, and she can end the match without anybody realizing until it's over. Now our next tag team match, this one is also a very interesting one. We have Sayaka and Chiko Shikawa to take on Daisy Monkey of Tokyo Pro, Suzumi, and what's her name? Oh yeah, and Arisu Endo. Now, keep in mind, Arisu Endo has already made appearance in Got Move. The last time, as you know, a while back, Mei Shiruga appointed her as her opponent for her 4th year anniversary, aka Apple and Crew, and that was a very good match. However, this is a different scenario. Now, some of you are saying, does Tokyo Pro allow this to happen? Of course. I mean, look, there are promoters that talk to each other. I mean, Shinjiro Tagaki talks to various promoters all over Japan, including the U.S., and I think that's what makes it great. And I think it was a very interesting. However, I did suspect it in this particular match that Daisy Monkey was going to walk out as the victors because they seemed it more cohesive. Now, I mentioned time and time again about Daisy Monkey as individuals and tag team. They have grown so much, and I think that's important. But it was, of course, the cutter that normally Suzumi does was the final blow that she did on Chiko Shikawa to pick up a good win. Now our next match is for the Asian Dream Tag Team titles. We have, of course, guys from Pro Wrestling Bazara, Yuko Miyamoto and Isami Kodaka taking on CDK, Chris Brooks, and Masahiro Takanashi. Now, this match, you know, they had to be more careful. They know these titles are at jeopardy, but of course, there was some good cohesive with Miyamoto and Kodaka. But unfortunately, it was Chris Brooks who picked up the win by pinning Kodaka in 1, 2, 3 to retain the titles. Now, our main event, I have to say, is the best one I've ever seen. Mei Suruga versus Yuna Mizumori. Now, the reason this is a good match, a really good match, was because we all talked about Mei Suruga. Some people mentioned in the past, Mei Suruga should have been the ace of Gatoh move right after Rio left. And to me, I feel maybe they're right. But Mei Suruga is an incredible wrestler. Yuna Mizumori, she is also a good wrestler. She is a powerhouse. So you got two type of wrestlers. You have the speedster and, of course, the powerhouse. So which one was going to win? But I have to say that both women were putting their best arsenal in at best to take each other out. But it was Mei Suruga with an amazing adjustment with the pinfall. Keep in mind, when it comes to Yuna Mizumori, her final blow will be the Superman hooks, but somehow Mei Suruga was able to overturn that into a pinfall and win the match. And I think this was an incredible match. I think it was awesome. I loved it. So it was great. So I think that's pretty much it. You guys should check it out. It's already out on YouTube. It's on right now. So go to Got to Move Pro Wrestling's YouTube and you'll see the whole thing. You guys see what I'm talking about. So right now, let's move on with our last thing. Will be news updates. Okay, so welcome to our news updates. So this is what's been going on in the wrestling world. It's been announced and been revealed, or whatever, how you want to proceed it. JCW, Jersey Championship Wrestling, has announced for their upcoming event on the 9th of October, JCW versus the World. Now, I did mention this. Jungle Kiona has been announced to be part of that. But there were other names that were announced afterwards. We have Negro Navarro and Shaza McKenzie, who comes back from her homeland of Australia. But the latest update on that, we have another Japanese wrestler making his official JCW debut, and this is Shota. You may have seen him in Gambari Pro and DDT. As you know, Shota has mentioned that he wants to wrestle in the U.S. This is one of his few that he's already been booked, so I'm excited for that. Now, for our GCW update here, as you know, we have the 2-day event Fight Club. It was already been told that on night 1 that will be taking place on October 8th. The GCW tag team titles will be on the line. The Mega Bastards, consistent of John Wayne Murdoch and Alex Colon, will put the titles on the line against Rina Yamashita and Drew Parker. This is going to be a fun match to watch. Now, for all you ICW No Holds Barred fans, as you may or may not have been aware, they just announced for some tour dates for the remainder of the year. This is what they have. October 9th, they will be in Los Angeles, which I hopefully get to see. October 14th to the 16th, they will be in Melbourne, Australia. October 9th in Newark, New Jersey. November 12th, Houston, Texas. November 18th and 19th, they'll be in Chattanooga, Tennessee. December 16th will be in Williamstown, New Jersey. And on the 17th of December, back to Newark. And then finally, December 9th, Worcester, Massachusetts. So if you guys are big GCW fans, if you guys are from anywhere of these locations, then you guys know where to go. So if you guys are in the LA area, you should go check it out. If you can't make it, then you should watch it on the IWT TV app. Now, our last update here, as you guys may have heard what's been going on with Malakai Black. Recently, he appeared in Prestige Wrestling Perseverance after his release from AEW, but looks more like he put things on the record, because right now we're hearing people talking about, oh, he's going back to WWE. Well, that kind of would have been the case, but it's not. But this is what he posted on his Facebook. So I'm going to be reading the statement so you guys can get it clearer. So, firstly, thank you, all of your messages. You know that have been read and appreciated. With all the turmoil going on in the landscape of pro wrestling, I took time to think of my words, but also need to wait until the conversation between mine and AW's camp had made a conclusion. Firstly, I dislike regarding parts of my private conversation between myself and AEW regard to my mental well-being on the internet. These conversations were private, not meant to be shared with the public. As of now, most people realize I'm a very private person, and I do not feel the need to have this stuff out on the internet. It, if you've been following me longer than a cup of coffee, you're aware I've spoken about them prior, but you would like to be the side when this finds its way to the public, and not through someone else's mouth. As we, as with anything through the lips of someone else, the story gets distorted. Secondly, to the line above of the next content, I indeed ask for my release. The last 2 years of my life lended a lot of setbacks. Both me and my wife have been affected by the uncontrollable actions from the outside of the result in loss of life, medical setbacks, career jeopardizing, the suicide of a close friend, and a family member almost losing their life. The experience of an injury that I was sure was the end of my career. I spent every week throughout the several sessions of rehab, dry needling therapy, just able to walk to compete. Now this is the tip of the iceberg, and with this combination of promises in my professional field that was not upheld with the result as a combination of all of these to complete demoralization of life and career. This is a decision in my mind for the past 6 months, and it's hard to really put a finger to say that was the moment that all went wrong. But I can tell you, after many years, I have learned from the rational point of view to see when I hit the brakes, which is what this is. Perhaps once in my mind settles certain things, the process of the last years is a bit better. I will convey via different platform that written out what exactly what exact word that happened and have more informed conversation about them. But for now on, I'm good. I'm taking for the first time in 22 years a few months to recalibrate the last 2 decades of my life. Lastly, I have read a few narratives along online in regards to my release, mental health, my personal life that I assimilate swiftly. If it didn't come from me, it didn't happen. Stuff about the conditional release, stuff in my marriage, or or using said mental health to leverage others when it's said for the part wasn't even going to be the part of the public conversation of are false. My marriage is fine. I'm fine. It's just time makes sure these things that stay away. Once again, I appreciate your support, and we will see each other soon enough. Now, this is the kind of thing that I know many people say. To be honest, we like there's the old saying, we want to hear this from the horse's mouth. Basically, what is going on is that he was dealing with some stuff. He thought about this for the past 6 months. I know some of you people were thinking about, oh, he's gonna go to WWE. No, he wants to take a break. He wants to refocus everything. Now, I understand if things were not going well for his marriage, knowing that things have been complicated, and he wants to fix it. That's okay, and I get it. So he's basically wants to recalibrate himself, and there's nothing wrong with that. Now I know some of you W loyalists are thinking in the back of your heads, he's going to W. That's plain and simple. We don't know that. It's we we have people that say that, but the problem is we don't know for sure if it's 100% legit. That's the thing. We know that the whole thing with him asking for his release was legit. That's the thing we do know. But this statement, I have to say, hope he gets better, whatever he's trying to do. I'm sure he even mentioned on the as a promo at the Prestige Wrestling that he's felt that he needed a long break after 22 years, and I get it. You need break. You need to make things better for yourself. There's nothing wrong with that. So Malakai, I hope you get better. Hope we see you soon. If it's an AW or an independence, wherever. But we'll be sticking right by you, no matter what. So I think that's pretty much it. So let's just call it a day. Well, I hope everybody enjoys this episode. As you know, for our next one, we'll be doing AW Dark Elevation, but I'm still a little behind on certain events that I haven't seen yet. I'll catch up to those soon, but I want to make this for the record here. I'm not going to events from August. I'm only going to focus right now the month of September. Now, I also know we just had 3 days straight of Stardom, and hopefully I get to see those events soon enough to review for all of you. I know if you guys are big Yoshi fans, there it is. Hopefully we get to follow more. But I think that's pretty much it. So I will see you guys in the next DWZ time. Same DWZ channel. I must bid all of you adieu. So goodbye. Mwah. And have a nice day. Bang!